the way that Amarim has been talking about it, I don't know what that does for your players and your team. Like
He
he's
doesn't even
got
want half of them.
it's just really weird. It's like saying things like winning would just paper over cracks, and it doesn't really do it. Like, mate, are you joking? Like, guys like that forget that this is an audience watch. It's a fan sport. It's for the fans, right? Like, you sell tickets. You don't sell tickets if you don't. If Man United don't win this, and their season ends like that, like you just came 16th. Like, how does he keep his job? He's got all the aura of a guy's like, well, this club's in transition, and I'm here to be a part of the short term future. Like, so I'm here next season. It's like, mate, no, you've lost 14 games. Like, and now you're not even going to go for it. Like, get out of here. I think his, I think he's gone if he doesn't, and I think the thing with Ange and the kind of the way he's navigated the last few games, and you just kind of feel there's a little bit of a different man starting to shine through there a bit, just in the way that he's talking about it. People now the narrative's starting to change and say, look, it was a tough season, but look at the injuries. People are starting to say what he's been saying that he's been dealing with, and it's kind of like I just think it looks so much different if he wins this. Like you start to go, well, yeah, he had his full team out. He had that back line. How many times did that back line get beat? Obviously they were in so many competitions. They didn't have a big enough squad. If he wins this, he goes into Champions League. You give him the same two times that back line. So you give him, by defenders. So every marquee player we've got in the team, we've got two of them at least. Like then that's what you would do. And then maybe then how does it look? Because then you've got his number one team and his number one team. And that's how you navigate a Champions League season. So you don't know. This season, it's kind of like, I just feel like he needs it, but the players need it to come through, some of them to come through some of the injuries they've had, to like all the up and down, but also some of those players have had unbelievable nights this season. Crazy, right? The 4-0, what was it, 4-1 win at City?
Yeah,
Um,
4-0, yeah.
the Yeah, 4-0. 4-0 win at City. There was like beating Liverpool 1-0 in a semi-final. I know it's like we got beaten the second leg, but on a one-off game. Like that was huge for Bergvall to score that goal. Moments that they will never forget in their life, but moments that kind of get a little bit dissipated if they don't win the tournament. You know what I mean? Like, so
hmm
winning the tournament just validates all the good stuff. We've beaten
hmm
City multiple times this season. We've beaten United multiple times. We've beaten Liverpool. Like all those things then get looked upon a little bit different if he wins a trophy, because then it becomes actually this was a strategic plan for Postecoglou, considering the injuries, considering that you don't just get players back, they have to then get 2, 3, 4 weeks of form. So you're
hmm
losing them really for extended periods, not just when they're injured. So like then now, if he has his full team, we go in and we do a number on them. It kind of goes, well, what was the worry about?
mm
Like I know fans are so Premier League centric because that is the massive tournament watched that is the league that's watched all around the world and it's big, right? But you gotta understand, like, if he wins this, and it does kind of prove that it was to do, we would never have finished 17th without that injury crisis, right? We have to
hmm
all agree on that, right?
I
And if,
think so, but a lot of people disagree, but I think so.
but if you're 10th, say we finish 10th, like you still got nothing. So 10th and 17th, and I think then the reframing is, look, the ball's on this guy to kind of have like focused everything on a Europa League win and cups rather than the Premier League. But then if he did it, then you got to be going, well, he was right. And what an incredible way to navigate a very bad problem.
Mm.
Not really having the squad for this amount of games, loads of young players, having to rely on young players pulling it out the bag, like Bergville becoming a worldie, like having to rely on Archie Gray getting thrown in the deep end, playing four different positions. Like that's nuts for a manager to have to deal with that. And I know that I've been anti him, and I am my problem with him was strategy in game. But then when you see him navigating a very tough tournament against top opponents like Frankfurt, Bodo Glimt, who I do rate, like coming through a lot of those games, it was like, look how he's playing. When he gets the team out, look how they play. You can actually play multiple systems with that team. So I don't know. I think it is massive for Postecoglou. I think it's career defining. I think his career needs it. If he loses and it goes out like that, like he gets fired, I think he finds it hard to work again. And that is not fair, I don't think. I mean, I've wanted him out for a long time, but that's because of what we're trying to see happen, like where we want to go. But if he wins it and he's right, he wins in his second season. How do you not give him another season? That for me is nuts. If you fire a guy after he said at the start of the season, I always win him my second season, and he wins, you don't give him third. That's like Spurs. Get over yourself.
Yeah, I think whether if he wins this trophy, whether he stays or he goes at the end of the season, I think it just adds to his story, doesn't it? He's gone from Australia, the Brisbane Roars, all this stuff, winning trophy after trophy, going to Japan, taking a relegation-threatened team to a championship, come to Celtic, winning the treble, and all that gets, obviously, people have diminished all of that, but then he's come to Tottenham. In his first season, he's finished 5th, and then his second season, he ends their 17-year trophy drought with a major European trophy.
It's unreal.
Their first year, like, even if he leaves, that is the narrative of his career. The narrative isn't going to be, he came to Tottenham and finished 17th. The narrative would be he came and ended their 17-year trophy drought. That would be the narrative. So I think he wouldn't have a problem getting a decent job. Maybe not a top job like one of the top 6, but I think teams in major leagues will definitely be looking at him and giving him another opportunity to, and maybe giving him the benefit of the doubt of how the league season's gone if he was to win this trophy, in my opinion. I think all the talk of him being out of his depth, he's not up to this level, I think he just shuts all that up by winning a major European trophy.
If he wins, it like validates his entire journey, makes a great movie. And if he loses, I think people start to kind of go, oh, well, that was only Japan. That was only Scotland.
Exactly.
That was,
yeah.
Like,
100%.
Bring any manager to Tottenham and try win. Any manager in the world.
We haven't won in 17 years.
Yeah. He's not only he's beat history if he wins something. He's beat all of that superstition. He's turned it all around. It's so big for us. I don't think fans, I can't understand when I hear people going, nah, he's got to go anyway. I'm like, shut up. Honestly, shut up. We could have a bad season next season under anyone. Why not keep a guy who's just won you a trophy in the first trophy in 70 years? First European trophy in how long? What, since 84?
40 years, 40 years nearly, yeah.
Come on, man. You build him a statue. You tuck your chin in, you take it, and you build him a statue. That's what you do. That's the reality.
Tom Barkley today reporting, David, that regardless of whether Ange wins the trophy or not, we are going to be looking to make a change. A lot of people obviously are kind of sick of this conversation. We've had it so long for so many months. But how do you feel about that decision, if that has been made by Tottenham, that regardless of what happens on Wednesday, the change is being made?
Look, I can understand that. I think once you've got a very fractured relationship with the fans, I think it's always going to be a huge problem for the football club moving forward. I was over there for the Palace game right after we got to a European final. Stadium was half empty. Half time, loads of people left. I mean, the club's losing money over it. A lot of fans aren't really having this guy to a large degree. Everyone I speak to doesn't like the guy. They want him out. They don't like him when he claps back at fans, telling them that the fans are wrong. Now, look, the reality is, I think, he's sort of suffering the same fate as Jose Mourinho walked out of this club with Antonio Conte, Nuno. Everyone says they're not a good manager, they're not good enough for this, that, and everything else, so they're too old, methods don't work anymore. The reality is, Jose Mourinho left when he won the Europa Conference League we got knocked out of. Antonio Conte, is challenging for the Serie A. Did he win it in the end? I'm not sure if he's got a line with them.
He's got one more game, and he's just
one more game, and he wins the Serie A championship with Napoli. Nuno, look what he's doing with Nottingham Forest. The reality is Tottenham Hotspur don't hire bad managers, but the practices that we employ for these managers are bad. The recruitment that we make for these managers are bad. Postecoglou finished 5th last season. What did we choose to go out and do in the market? We all knew. You had some experienced players, some good competition to that, you kick on. They went out and bought a guy in from from the Korean league, a guy in from the Swedish second division, a guy in from the championship. That's not that and considering Postecoglou all the season before that, by the way, was inviting this pressure of trophies and talks like that because he was out there telling the media, "Don't talk to me about top four, talk to me about challenging. That's what I'm here to do." And then you have a transfer window like that in the summer transfer window, doesn't really match up what Postecoglou is saying all season long. Then you sell Harry Kane. You haven't really replaced him properly. You look since he's gone, and this is one thing I tried to warn of when everybody told me, even when I was on this show, telling me I was wrong about it. You're going to miss that guy that steps up and puts points on the board consistently in tight games. We've missed that for large periods. We've given him bang average players from relegation clubs to be able to work with. We've literally picked off relegation teams and teams that have gone down and said, there you are, make it work. Then you come into this season and we wonder why we've got the problems we do. Everyone praises all the youth, but the reality is, and everyone sits here and says, we've got a good squad, but another manager will get better out of this. The reality is, this squad is being tested more than any other squad in seasons gone by. It's not good enough. When we've had to rely on the squad, we can't win games. There's a stat being banded about with the back five when they play, the massive points difference. The problem is trying to get them out consistently. But the reality is the squad ain't good enough. It's nowhere near the level we need.
Dave, I take it that point exactly. Like, if you did a combined, you were there on Palace, yeah? If you did a combined 11 with the Palace team that we played and our team that we had on that pitch, you probably have majority Palace players.
Don't know about that. I definitely have a few. I'd take the likes of Gueye, Eze. Look, I'll give it.
Probably Mateta probably starts.
Glasgow's got him going. Yeah, that's fair. This is what I'm saying. I don't think our squad is as good as people make it out to be. The reality is, the evidence is telling us it's shit. When a lot of our first team players went injured, look at the squad players we've had to rely on, and they can't get results over the line. Now, look, granted, Postecoglou, coming out towards the end of this Europa League campaign, he's changed things a little. So it still begs the question: why didn't you do that earlier on in the season? For these squad players and stuff like that. So, he doesn't escape criticism like that either. But the reality is, everyone says, he has to navigate the injuries properly. Do we not remember when we were here underneath Antonio Conte and he had a bench full of academy kids and he was moaning about not having squad debt, and everyone says, no, it doesn't matter, you're being paid by the club. It's up to you to make it work. The reality is, sometimes your players on the periphery are that poor. You can't make it work. And I don't think we take that into account at Tottenham Hotspur. So for me, I think to a large degree, Postecoglou's been dealt a raw deal. But has he made the best of the situation? No, he hasn't. And that's the reality of it. I think it's only Tottenham Hotspur that can actually go into a Europa League final going, if our manager wins or if we get over the line, he's sacked anyway. This only happens at Tottenham Hotspur. Look, for me, I think it's hard to justify that he gets here, he goes into next season. But I also say to everybody, if we do win and you're down that Tottenham High Road Friday, the emotions will take over. You might start just thinking a little bit differently now that you've got a trophy over the line. You might start giving more credence to, the injuries and stuff like that. You might just start feeling a little bit differently. But I'd also argue, what message does that send out to any other manager that we're potentially employing? What do we want you to Tottenham to come and do? Because if it's deliver a trophy, you're going to cost me my job. And if I don't deliver top four, you're also going to cost me my job. What do you want me to do at Tottenham Hotspur? So I think it sends out bad signals as well, in terms of prospective managers coming here. So to be honest with you, look, I'll wait and see what the club do, and I'll go with it. But I think it's very hard with his relationship with the fans to justify it, because the club are losing money in terms of sales, match day revenue, etc.
Yeah, and I think that's because the league form has been so bad, and we've binned off the league. And whether it's rightly or wrongly, I think that's what we've had to do. I think in the last couple months, I think.
I also think the biggest question mark about Postecoglou, what people will have, even if he wins the final, is can he hasn't shown the ability to be able to navigate multiple competitions over the 2 seasons he's been here. The first season we went out of the League Cup to Fulham at the first time of asking, didn't have a great FA Cup run. We just had the league to focus on, finish 5th. This season we've binned off, to a degree, the FA Cup and the Premier League. But we've had 2 decent cup runs. But fans won't tolerate that next season. We are Tottenham Hotspur. We are a big club. The demands from the fans is we want you to challenge across all competitions. Mm-hmm. So that's the big question mark with Postecoglou. Postecoglou heading into next season.
But,
Can he do it? And so far, he hasn't demonstrated the ability to.
And that's fair, and I take that point. And obviously, 17th
Yeah,
is unacceptable. Yeah, exactly. Obviously, 17th is
if he's got a trophy in his back pocket, he might differ with you. He's like, European trophy.
But everyone's down point to the Premier League. It's like, yeah,
obviously, 17th. We know
if you want to
shouldn't be
replicate that
17th.
next year, we're not taking 17th in the Premier League again. Do you know?
But how many times have we bemoaned managers for resting players in cup competitions in the pursuit of top four? We've always been bang on about why can we prioritise the cup competitions for a time? Why can't we play our B team in the Premier League and go full strength in the cups, which we usually do the opposite? And now
you can bet your bottom dollar, whatever manager we have and whatever he's trying to do, Spurs fans will moan saying we want him to do something different. For instance, we had pragmatic managers. We want them to be more attacking. You bring in Postecoglou. No, that's too gung-ho. We want you to be more pragmatic. Prime example.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
It's always going to
go on, Brad.
It's always going to come down to that idea of like, are you a match paying fan? And if you're a match paying fan, like, what do you want to watch for a whole season? Because if you get caught up in the idea of like, oh, we're Tottenham, we must win a trophy because we're getting bantered by our mates. So is everything. And well, then,
you're breaking up a bit, Brains.
Yeah.
Going, what is going to make these fans?
One sec.
Sorry.
Maybe try rejoining. I think you. I can hear you now. You're now frozen.
There
you go. You're back.
Yeah, it's just like you can imagine a club and just everyone at the club just not knowing what do these fans want, because it's like. Get a manager in, and you go, look, we just need a trophy, and that's what he was saying. He was going, look, does a trophy do anything? In the first season, he's like, what does a trophy do? Then you're just going to say, I should have done this. He was saying that in the first. He was saying that, and then in the second season, he goes, okay, well, I'll just win you a trophy then. How about this? Would you like what trophy would you like? Carabao, FA Cup? Oh, I'll have a go at them then. What European Europa League trophy, yeah? How would you like that? Okay, I'll do everything in my power to win that trophy for you. What's that? I'm fired even if I win it? Are you mental? Spurs fans just all go commit themselves into mental asylums? Like, poor fans, because he is... Am I freezing again? I get that he doesn't have a rapport with fans because he is Australian. He is Australian, and Australians come from that kind of, they're very much the same as South Africa, like New Zealand. They have that thing of like, no, fight and win. I'm here to win. I don't believe in win. That's what they're about. They and they say, they do say things like we're good, like and British football and British kind of sports. You're not allowed to say that you're good. You get bantered,
you have to be
right?
humble,
You're not allowed to
exactly.
rate yourself.
You're opening yourself up for criticism and all that stuff.
He doesn't have that sense of the way we talk about football. He doesn't believe in the gods, and he doesn't none of that nonsense, So I think fans hate that. So then once you're into that kind of, I don't get the fans want me to lose a game to Man City so Arsenal don't win the league. Like he's already on the wrong footing then. So then everything he does gets misinterpreted if he goes that with his hands, which is just insane banter. Like, what are you doing? And especially if the goal gets ruled out. So in some ways he might be going, well, I was building a kind of a banter rapport with the fans. Like, hey, look, I'm right.
Was anyone in the mood for banter when we've lost him all games we have this year? Do you know what I mean?
That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah. It's that at that point. That's where it's like gone downhill, Like I was calling him for him to be ejected from the club when I just couldn't see strategically him changing. He was being too stubborn, right? And it was like, man, like we've got a chance to stay in the race for Europe anyway, and we should be navigating the Europa League quite easily anyway. So you kind of want him to just do this. Like if you can beat Man City playing counter-attack football, playing a certain team, why can you not just keep doing that, right? And then he gets his players back, and and he slowly starts to go back to like how he wants to play football, right? And then till late in the season, because he knows that he doesn't have them at full strength, he still plays this kind of measured, football in two really massive big games, and it gets through easily. And you're going, okay, is this just him learning, like with the squad, what he can do? Because that can take 2 seasons. Like he got fifth in the first year, but that's players really going for it. That's believing in the system. Like 2 years is that just enough time to realize, well, look, with this group of players, I can only play this way. With this group of players, I can only play that way. You don't learn that in training. It needs to be learned over a period of time. And maybe he's finally learned that. So maybe we were jumping the gun in trying to get him out early, because now he's showing that he has a defensive structure to him. He can go quite easily between 4-3-3 and 4-2-2. Like, he has kind of shown that. It's just the expectations of this club is a difficult thing to deal with. Like, fans are so negative at times. Sometimes you go to the ground and it's just like, just some of the stuff you hear is just, we are a bizarre fan base. Like, you can go into any comments at any time and just see the most bipolar, extreme opposites. So
and
I
it's
think
the fans expect to be a top club. We want to act like a top club, but we also protest against the board who have made us into a top club, because we don't think they're doing a good enough job as a board in terms of what they're giving us. We don't think they're supplying us the tools to be a top club, but we still have top club expectations. So we have that on the manager, even though we're complaining about the board that we're not acting like a top club. We still expect the manager to produce top club results, and it's like we're completely bipolar.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So all the stuff we talk about with football, and like from not really knowing the full situation, like we're just never really in the right position to kind of know exactly what's going on. But I think when a manager does get you, if they do come through the storm and get you in a final, and if you can look back, yes, take the Premier League out of, and it's hard to do, but if you can see like quite positive cup runs, semi-finals, like, okay, like there's progression here. There's definitely, you can see this manager has tried to win a trophy. The Premier League, who wins the Premier League? Who wins the Premier League? Not many clubs. Very few clubs win the Premier League. If his career in bringing a trophy here, if that's the remit, was to bring a cup to this club, why is he going to attempt to do anything in the Premier League? Then you may as well rest, especially if you get an injury crisis. I'm saying he probably came to the realization halfway through, like, look, we are cursed. Something's going on with this med team. We are cursed this season. We're losing players left, right, and centre. We can't keep anyone fit. Then, if he's then decided to go this route and he gets to a final, and if he wins it, you have to be going, this guy is a genius, or he's got something going with him. If he can navigate a season like this with a kind of relationship with the fans that he does have, insane over expectation from fan base, to get a trophy this season, I think it's unbelievable. I would totally change my opinion. I've kind of always said that if this guy does do something at this club, fair play. Like,
yeah, and I kind of agree. I'd also, like, when I'm looking at the people who are suggesting replace him, I'm not totally enamored. I'm not like when people suggesting Marco Silva and Iraola and these other managers, I'm like, I don't know. I'm not convinced giving them a 3-year deal is like the answer. Maybe giving Ange just one more year, and if it falls flat, then we hit the button. If we do win that competition anyway, I think that might be the best approach. But obviously, I understand 17th is a position we haven't seen in our lifetime, really, in terms of league position. It's been as bad as we can imagine it, and I think people want to think that no circumstance can ever justify that kind of league position. But when you're looking at, we've been playing our B and sometimes C team throughout most of the season. Like, Andrews in January, he was very clear. Like, he was being asked, why are these results? Why you keep getting these results? What's happening? He goes, well, he said you can walk outside and see it's a sunny day and ask why is it sunny and give all these excuses. At the end of the day, it's the sun. That's the most obvious excuse. That's why it's sunny. And he's saying, look, it's the injuries. That's why we're as bad as we are, because we've got 12, 13 injuries throughout 3 or 4 months. It's going to completely derail the season. And I think, in my opinion, if he was to come through that and get us to bring a European trophy off the back of what he's been saying, but when he says, when I get people like throw this at him saying like, He's always said if we get our first team back, we're gonna, things are gonna improve. And then we got our first team back, and the league form is still the same, which is true. And he can't run away from that. But at the end of the day, he's also got his first team back and got us to a European final. And potentially, if we win it, for me, that would show. Yes, look, if he's got his whole team back and he's dragged us to a European final and potentially winning it, that for me shows sign of improvement. That would be vindication for me. So I'm trying to be Ange here. That would be vindication of what he's been saying. That would be, for me, would be vindication of what he's been saying in terms of we are a better team when we will be a lot better when we get our players back, because we have gotten to that European trophy once we got the first team back. So what do you think, Dave, about that? Would winning that trophy be vindication for some of his excuses, or not really?
Well, I think, I think it will be vindication. I think we can say, he said results be different, but the reality is in the Premier League, we've sort of tailored our selection because we're trying to keep our best players, for the Europa League games. So, that's probably why the Premier League form hasn't really sort of picked up, because some of the players we're using out there just ain't good enough at the end of the day. But I think, a lot of what he said, or a lot of what's been aimed at him, I think, if he gets us over the line, I think he will be vindicated. That statement that I always win in my second season, I think that came off the back of Jamie Carragher. It's something he was saying about Tottenham never win anything and stuff like that, and how good Postecoglou was. And he said, look, I'll correct my statement. I always win in my second season. If he delivers a trophy, that's almost Jose Mourinho-esque when he walked in and said, I'm the special one. Mm-hmm. Everyone laughed at him. He delivers trophies. And then all of a sudden, that mystique, that aura followed him for the rest of his career. And I think it could be the same with Ange Postecoglou. Let's not forget, if he delivers that at Tottenham, everyone would say Tottenham is the hardest club to get over the line. The reputation it will be for that guy. I think you'll see a lot of the media start looking silly. I think you'll see a lot of them backtrack their initial thoughts on it. A lot of people said, don't rate the manager, never ever going to get us to you. It's dangerous putting all your eggs in the Europa League basket, to try and get over the line. If he delivers again, he's proved a lot of people wrong. No bad manager really wins the Europa League. You know what I mean? So, I think a lot of the things that people have questioned him about, I think, if he wins the Europa League, he sort of maybe proved them wrong to a large degree.
And it's even more crazy saying I always win in my second season at a club like Tottenham, who haven't won in 17. Like, it would have been so much easier for him to say, look, obviously I've got a history of winning trophies, but this club, need to get that monkey off their back, and it's going to be difficult. It might not happen in the first year or two, but he was just bullish, saying I always win in my second season. He just went out and said it, and to say that at a club and then pull it off at a club who hasn't won in 17 years and a European trophy in 40, it would be madness. I just think people because of the league form, they want to diminish this kind of achievement this would be and how big it would be for us to do that, because they want to create this narrative that he's clueless, he doesn't know what he's doing, he's out of his depth and all this kind of stuff. And obviously winning a Europa League would completely go counter to that narrative. So they have to find a way to justify why winning this Europa League wouldn't be such a big achievement. And I think I think it would be.
I think, see, when you think about how a club grows I became a Spurs fan, not because of, what they were in the first division. It was the first division then. It wasn't because of how good Spurs did in the league. It was never that. Mm-hmm. We won the FA Cup. It was those players. It was something about that team at the time. And Spurs coming so close to winning the Premier League a couple of times. There's a trauma in that, but to get this guy to come to a club that, you said about never winning a Premier League title in our lives, but we've never won. Well, for a lot of us, we've never won a European trophy in our life. Mm-hmm. I was just born when they last won. It's so that it is huge, man. It is unbelievable, and I think it's so dirty a conversation to have of does he still get fired? It's I think despite everything, if you get Spurs over the line to win, if it was a Carabao Cup, it would have been magic. If it was an FA Cup, it would have been a European Cup. That is unreal, man. It really is unreal. And then I would be really desperate to see, especially if Spurs, why we get massive injuries? because we don't have preseasons. Not preseasons like you're supposed to have, where your team recovers, the body recovers, you go through, you build up the muscles, you get, and you taper it and you build and build and build to bang. Because when you're in a season, you don't really get that type of training, the reset of the body. You know, that you don't get that stuff because you're just go, fight or flight all season long. And then you get injuries, and then you're coming back from an injury, you're not your same again. You know, like so to do that while he's getting to know what players are worth, like what can this guy do? Should I take him off, or sometimes I got to keep him on because maybe he goes to another level when fans get on his back. You got to learn this stuff over a period of time. But he's trying to learn this in his second season, and then he's losing 13 players. So he can't see what they're worth. So it delays what you can do. To all that to actually get to a final, it's something else. I would really love to then see if he did actually genuinely get backed. Like, buy him another team. Like, get backed by, like, Celtic, what 19 signings or something in the first 2 seasons? Like, buy him 11 players. Buy him marquee top players to join the youth. So the youth team should, some of those youth players should be the B team who get a game in non-important games. Because fans actually want to see Mikey Moore, and we want to see Bergvall and Gray. We want to see Sarr. That should be your team who plays every game that's not a big important game, you know? And Bergvall obviously can come in because if he keeps proving the way he is. But this pressure that's been on Bergvall and Gray, you can see Gray's kind of started to snap with it because he's played so many games, and it's too much for a kid to then late in the season get thrown into a rubber match with Liverpool in centre mid. I mean, what kind of pressure is that? So, but he put it on him to see if he could take it. You know, it's not to say he's a bad player, but Archie Gray will be important for us over the next few years. He should be in the B team. So should Bergvall. But now Bergvall's done really well, so yeah, keep him in the first team. But we should be looking for a world-class 10, a world-class winger, a world-class striker, 2 world-class defenders. We should be bringing all of them in. And Romero should stay, and Mickey van de Ven, and they should be going, I got to play for my place now. Look at this guy coming in. That's how you then go the next season. And then yes, I would want Ange there. Because why not? What would Ange do? Same thing as what would Conte have done? What would Mourinho have done if they got big players with big winning mindsets into the club? I think he's done this with a team of kids. That's mental. We should all be going this. It's all about cognitive reframing. We should all be coming away from this going, that Ange guy is unreal, man. This guy it's insane.